Hello, my art-loving friends. It is far past time I get to reviewing these Meeden products. They sent these to me months and months ago, and I'm finally getting to use them today. So let's dig in and see what we think of all these fun things. What we have here is the Meeden watercolor paper. We have used this before on the channel because I wanted to try it, and it's quite nice. It's made by Bao. On Meeden's website, they do say this is the exact same paper as the Bao paper. In fact, one of their listings, unless they changed it recently, has it shown as Bao paper with this cover. The next thing we'll look at are these watercolor paint brushes. That was wrapped in plastic. I just took that off, and they are beautiful. Aren't they pretty? They're just really aesthetically pleasing. They do have sizing in them, so I'll take them to the sink and wash all of that out before using it. The handles are wooden and painted, obviously, and quite pretty. Next up is this 24 watercolor paint set. I actually asked them to not send me the paint set because other people have been reviewing it. I didn't really feel like it was necessary. I usually use higher quality products, and that's not always true. I have the Himimiya paint set I'm trying to use up. Anyway, they were so cute because they said, well, we actually think our watercolors would be a really good fit for beginner watercolorists, and we'd love for you to still show them on your channel. And I thought that was really nice. They believe in their products, and their beginner set comes with the paint brushes, this paint and paper, maybe something else, I can't quite remember, but I'll put a picture of it on the screen here. So that made me happy. I like Meeden. That made me like them. Anyway, I did have them send me this pink tin, and they wanted me to let you know that this pink tin comes from overseas. So if you are to try and order it, it may not show up as available first of all, but if you do find it, it might take a long time to get to you. However, their other colors, I think their normal black one is always available and easy to ship here in the US. So I poured all the paint into these little, you can fit 26 pans in this set, and it came with 26 pans. And it's kind of interesting because I filled these to the top, or at least really close to the top the first time, and you can see that they shrink down quite a bit. So what I'll probably do is go ahead and fill them again up to the top after today's video, just so that they're full and ready to go if I want to use them again. A couple of them shrunk quite a bit and pulled away from the sides even. You can see that one here. And with the brown over here, this one got really tiny and falls right out. So what I'll do with this one is I'll put fresh paint in the bottom, stick that on top, and then fill it all the way up. And that should hopefully let it be nice and secure in there. I am going to go ahead and remove this flap. It just gets in my way. I used a paper clip to push this through so I could reach this pin and just pull the pin out, and that pops off. Now it fits beside my paper a little more easily. I thought we could test these brushes and see how they work. I'll do a typical painting that I don't know, I kind of default to when I don't know what else to paint. And that's kind of like a sunset reflection mountain scene. It's real fun. So I am dying to use this brush with the flat handle. It's so cool. But I realize I should have wet the paper first. So let's do that and see how that works with this brush. It's a real soft brush. You can see it gets big when you push on it like that. It's kind of neat. If you want your sky to be more of a soft feeling, then it's a good idea to put water down on your paper first. And I think I am going to do a lake reflection, so I will go ahead and put water down here because I can use the same colors and just do it all at once. I already know this is really good paper, but it's fun to use, and we get to test these brushes and paints on this paper. And then there's a couple other paintings I need to get to today, and that's in a sketchbook that I have only used my Himimiya paints in, which are also really affordable paints, so it'll be a good comparison. I'll use these paints in that sketchbook and we'll see what we think. Okay, now we can get some color going on. Yep, the yellow doesn't seem very strong. That yellow anyway. Try this next yellow. I do like this brush. It has a fun feel to it. Yeah, so I have to work a little harder to get some color out. That's a pretty yellow, though this second yellow is quite nice. Let's try this. And I don't have these colors labeled yet, but this one over there in the box says that it's gamboge, which is usually an extremely vibrant yellowy orange color, and you can see this one is not. It's more just yellow. In fact, it looks very similar on the paper to the one before it, unless we can get it a little bit deeper here. All right, let's try some of the reds. We have scarlet red, vermilion, crimson red, and rose. And I think for this painting, I want the rose. It might be too purpley to go with the yellow. Let me pull it out on the palette here. Yeah, that might cause some problems with the yellow because purple and yellow make brown. So we'll skip over to this one, which is crimson red. I think that'll mix with the yellow a little bit happier. Ooh, that's pretty. Yeah, I think if I didn't know anything about paint, I would probably be happy with these paints because I just wouldn't know any better. So probably is a good set for beginners. It's just not as strong as I'm used to. Like you can see, I have a ton of water and paint activated here, and it just doesn't come out on the paper very strong. So there is that. I'm gonna get some orange now. I'm actually gonna pull some color out if I can. Let's get some orange activated. This one is called Orange Yellow. Oh, that's a pretty color. That's a really pretty color. Orange yellow for the win. It's a little bit stiffer though. Soaking up my water pretty fast. Get some down here. Get some up here. I want some more over here. Okay, that may be my favorite color so far. Let's get some more of that red. Now that the water's sat on it a while, it might be, yeah, look much more happy. Strong, in other words, it's a lot stronger. So probably should spray these ahead of time if you're gonna use them. I didn't clean my brush, I'm just wiping it on the rag. I don't know if that's on screen or not, probably not. And let's get some more deeper colors going up here. Yeah, big difference when that water can sit on that for a bit. I don't mind these little streaks of extra color here because it will look like clouds. My brush actually ended up having quite a bit of water on it, so we're getting some blooms, which is kind of cool too. Can be if it's done right. Let's go ahead and put a little bit of this rose up here now and see. Wow, that's a pretty color, that rose. It's a little hint of purple in it. All right, that looks all right. I'm gonna let that dry and we'll do our mountain silhouettes and it should be fun. And I used that brush the whole time. We'll also see how much of a drying shift it will do. It is mostly dry. It's still cool to the touch, but that's all the patience I have. So you can see how the paper is warping even though this is a block. Just is. And I have let it sit here for a half an hour and I'm tired of waiting. So I'm going to put a piece of tape across for my horizon line so it's semi-straight. Could take a ruler and measure that if I was really serious, but I'm not serious today. I think we should test this round brush here, and I have activated a bunch of my blues, and you're supposed to go light to dark. This one is cerulean blue, has PW6 and PB15. I'm gonna mix that with this one next door, which is cobalt blue, PB29 and PW6. So both of these have white in them. And I was going to do this just a silhouette dark color, but I thought it might be kind of fun to test all these different colors. And I did put water on them. So they have been activated like that. going to go ahead and bring some paint down to the horizon line, because when I layer over the top, that will just make it darker and better. Oop, gotta be careful it's not too bright or it's going to look like it should be in the front. That paper is very catchy, if you know what I mean. It has a pretty good hard surface on it, or textured surface. Very cold pressed surface, in other words, so you can hear it. All right, unfortunately, since the way I did that, I have to wait for that to dry before doing the next layer. We get to hurry up and wait again. Put this a little darker where the sun's shining, because I finally remembered I have a heat gun, so I used it and dried the painting. One thing I meant to tell you guys before I did this mountain was it didn't appear there was a huge drying shift. I'll double check the video obviously when I go to edit it, but it seems like these colors are really vibrant still, so that's a bonus. All right, let's go to our next blue and do our next mountain. This one is ultramarine blue. It's the usual PB29. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, pretty. Wow, this appears, it's a little hard to say right now, but it kind of looks like it has a lot of granulation in it. Probably should have used the bigger flat brush for this, but I really wanted to try this brush, don't you know? Oop, wrong blue. Glad I caught that. See if I can get rid of that hard edge. Looks like I can. Maybe. Let's try this last darkest blue, Prussian blue. Oh, I always like Prussian blues. They're so pretty. Okay, we can go ahead and take the horizon line tape off right now. I had a little bleed over there. So let me smear this around now while I can. Actually, that's probably a good idea, is I can just go touch the whole bottom of this right now and let that paint bleed down into the lake. And depending on where the sun is, I don't have a really bright sunset here, so I may not get a full-on reflection into my lake, which is kind of nice sometimes not to have the whole mountains shining into the lake, but we'll go ahead and put in some. So I didn't really need the horizon line without keeping that bottom line separate. Sometimes in my paintings when I do this, I keep a light line that separates the mountains from the reflection. And that can look really neat sometimes, but because of the way I just did this one, I'm not going to have that. So the tape line wasn't probably very necessary. It just helps control things in the beginning when you're doing that. So it's up to you if you want to do that or not. I think I'll go ahead and get some more deep color going. Generally following the silhouette there. Curious if this would look really bad if we put some brown. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, that's an ugly brown. What's this brown? Raw umber is never my favorite color, so I would say that about any brand, not just this brand. So this is the burnt umber. That's a prettier brown. Looks kind of like it has white in it. It says PBR6 and PY42, so it's probably the PY42 making it a little bit more opaque looking. Let's see what this burnt sienna looks like. Very bright. All right, well, let's mix these two browns together. This is the raw umber with the burnt umber. Give ourselves a little piece of land. Nope, it is not dark enough, so we get to try the black. Well, why not? Or we could try the purple. Purple would... We'll put black and then purple. Oh my goodness, that black is like ink. Holy moly. What is that? Oh my goodness, that's a PBK11. Okay, we'll have to try that and see if that has the granulation in it that PBK11s do. Obviously not right here, but that is like solid ink. Oh, wow. That's a little darker than I wanted. Let me see if I can pull some up with the paper towel. That surprised me. That is pretty neat. Okay. Get a little bit of a lighter tint going there. Oh, geez. That was intense. Let's try the purple. We have brilliant purple here and violet here. So let's try the violet. Yeah, that's deep and dark. I did drop a bit of water into those several minutes ago. Lots and lots of minutes ago. Yeah, I like the violet in the front. So let's grab some violet and actually let's grab this brilliant purple and tint over this black area. Geez, it's so deep. They're having a little violet shine on the top. You probably can't see that, but it just looks really dark in the camera, but it's pretty in person. Little weed looking things going. Maybe like a rock shape or two. It's little weeds. Could try out one of their smaller brushes. That'd probably be a good idea, wouldn't it? Here's a smaller brush. Purple, violet, stirry stir. Okay. I have a wet paper there, so may avoid that or not. If I don't avoid it, just will bleed again more. I kind of like these little weed things in the front. That's a very bright painting, but you know, when you want to test the blues, that's what happens. It's wet here, so trying not to stick my palm in it. And I think this brush might be kind of big, but it has a nice fine point. Oh yeah, that worked out just fine. Oops, that bird got fat. Oh, you know, let's see if I can erase that bird without erasing the pink. Nope, it erases the pink. We have a cloud there now, just so you know. We'll go put a bigger bird there when it dries. Yeah, I have wet paint everywhere, so this is tricky. I want a big bird here too. Did not have enough paint. Still not enough paint. Too much water in my brush. Yeah, bird got messy looking, but maybe we can just see his tail or something. We'll give him a little more shape. This one big. Whoops. He not only got big, he got fat. Wow, that bird looks horrible. I'll just make him bigger and fix him. He looks very wrong. We don't need a wrong bird there. Apparently the paint lifts easily because it's lifting easily. May have to go over most of this in order not to get a hard edge. We'll find out. Try that. See if this can get a little bit more distinct now that it's a tiny bit drier over here. Okay, well this is pretty. It's different than the usual paintings. I'll go back over this bird when the water's dry, or I can hit it with a heat gun and do that. But since this paint lifts so easily, let's see if we can't change some of the edge of that mountain there. Looks like we'll probably just mess up our water some, but maybe we could make it look like a ripple, a couple of ripples. Pull it out into the water and into the sides very intentionally. We'll come back in here and add some ripply looking things and up towards the front. Oh yeah, interesting. Here's some of those ripples up close. So I know I said I would probably work in my little Kadi sketchbook where I have been using my Himimiya paints to see how they compare, but I am not quite done with wanting to work on a bigger scale here because I want to play with these colors just a little bit more. I also wanted to see how the paper came out of this pad, and I like to use the ruler because it has a bit of a softer edge than palette knife. Still kind of tough to get the paper out. It's not fully easy here. Also, I noticed the paint looks like it is getting deep holes in the pans already. And if my paper looks weird, it's because the cat spilled my water and this was still sitting on the desk. So of course this soaked up all the water that spilled. I had the lid on these because I put the lids on this so that they can't drink it while I'm away. Yeah, it's a little warped. Anyway, but I didn't tighten the lids and there's no rubber seal or anything. So when it gets knocked over, it can still leak. so there's that. Okay, well anyway, I wanted to play with these colors some more. I didn't want to be limited to the small size that I am doing the Himimiya stuff in. And so many colorful colors here. And I wanted to just play with that. So yeah, it looks like, so there's not enough paint on here. You can tell that. Well, there's more than I thought. Anyway, I think these will benefit from being activated. I'm not quite sure all which colors I'm going to use, so I'll activate some that look kind of interesting to me right now, and we'll just go from there. Okay, that was only a moment really. This is something I've done in a sketchbook before, and it was really fun. You just kind of scribble color, and then you'll do stuff with fine liners later with it, so it's kind of easy and turns out looking really cool at the end. Trust me, it looks messy now, but all it takes is just a little bit of creativity at the end to make this look fun and awesome. We can add more colors later too. So we'll try this bright orange. Yeah, I wanted to try these colors more. They come with some really bright colors. You get an entire tube, and I wanted to play with them more than we did. I know this sunset used a lot of colorful colors, but I wasn't done. Not done with color by far. This color seems nice and vibrant. I don't think the vibrancy is in question here. It's more the rewettability, I guess. Yeah, because look, that's incredibly vibrant. You get a lot of color there for, I don't know how to finish that sentence. There's a lot of color there. It's kind of neat. Maybe it's taking more water than some of my other paints. I guess that's how I would put it. Just needs a little bit more waking up. Kind of like if you poured Winsor & Newton paints from the tube, because the formulation's a little different, I guess, from the tubes versus the pans, and so just takes a little bit more work. But I am pretty happy with the color payout here. I think I'll do this. Wow, both these blues are so pretty. I think I'll do this one. Oh wow, that's bright and beautiful. I'm gonna mix it in with the other one. Just kind of what I wanted to do in the beginning anyway, was mix them together. And I know I don't usually do florals at all on this channel, but this is something that my class and I played with a couple weeks ago. I saw it on a video and it turns out so pretty. I'll show you how this works in a bit. And I think we need just a little bit of color down here, and I'm going to use, I don't know what color I want to use there. I'll put a little more orange, but I need to add maybe the red. Yeah, like that. So that's fun. And when that dries, you can take a fine liner. I don't know, what is this? Sakura Micro Perm 03 and a 10 is all I have handy at the moment. I better let that dry a little bit more. I kind of don't want to though. Even if this bleeds, I think that would look kind of cool. So you just take your fine liner and add in some fun little details, and then you outline that and kind of outline it again. Yeah, the 03 is way too small. It's not going to work. I have a feeling the 10's gonna be too big. Yeah, all right, fine. I'll stop being lazy. I'll go get one of my in-between fine liners out. That literally only took 5 seconds. I brought them on a trip with me yesterday and they were in the bag behind me, but you know, at the time it seemed like a lot of work. So this is a 0.4. That might be okay. I want to try this 0.6 though. So you can just add little centers to these however you want. In this case, I'm just adding little circles and then like doing a thicker line around the outside. This paper is rough enough that even these, which work really well on rough paper, is kind of complaining. Yeah, it's not happy. Have regular paper anywhere? Not really, but I have the back of this canvas. Kind of get that refreshed. So what I might do, because the rough paper, I might use more like a brush pen. Let's try that. I have one over here. Here we are. This is the brush. Let's see what that works like. Oh, that's going to be really dark though. Not quite what I was going for, but it sure does work good on the paper. But oh yeah, that's dark. Kind of have to go over it all to make it match though now. Yeah, that's different. It'll be a different look than I planned on, but I think I'll like it. It'll be okay. Anyway, this brush pen is super soft and works great on this rough paper because this is nice rough paper, that's for sure. Ooh, that purple was still wet and it bled and it looks so pretty over there in that corner. Look at that. I like it. It's because I am being impatient and not waiting for anything to dry. Look at that. Look at all that wet paint dripping off the side there. Anyway, so fun to do these scribbles. Just easy peasy. So this was a little wet. It's nice too because with this style you don't have to stay in the lines. You just go for it and it turns out looking so cool. There, masterpiece. Did I forget anywhere? I don't think so. Look at that. Look how fun that is. I do feel like it could use a little bit of blue over here though. So we can add another little blue flower in. Good thing that marker is waterproof. Because I just went right over it with water. Willy-nilly. Yeah, I don't know if that helped or hindered. Actually, we should let that dry before we add the pigment liner this time. I think we can finish this up now. Wow, this has so much ink in it that if I go off the page, it kind of just squirts over here to the desk. Oh, and it's wanting to be quite permanent, so be careful about that. All right, good. Okay, so something kind of interesting. I'm gonna turn this the other way around and sign it down here. Is if I didn't know about other watercolors and how they work for me and all of that, they're probably right. They being Meeden they're probably right that this probably is a good starter set for beginners because it comes with this incredibly high quality paper and you can have really low quality paints, and if you're working on high quality paper, you may not even notice how low quality your paints are. So they're giving you super high quality paper to play on. Some really fancy looking brushes that I did not notice the difference in feel over the brushes that I usually use to start with. They're a little bit lighter, I guess, but when you're holding them and painting with them, they felt fine. I'll keep painting with them. In fact, they're so darn pretty. They did a really good job on that I'm going to put them in my drawer and probably play with them and reach for them here in the studio regularly over the next several months and probably a year or whatever, and see how they hold up. So subscribe if you want to be part of that journey and see how that goes. I'll just keep grabbing for them. So good brushes, great paper, and a lot of paint. Yeah, I think they're right. This is probably a good set for students because like I said, if I didn't know about other paints, I would just know when I came in to paint with these, drop some water on them at first and kind of start my sketch and then paint with them, and I probably would never have noticed anything as a beginner. And as a more experienced artist, if I would have just started by swatching these instead of painting with them, I think I would have been disappointed because I swatched very specifically not re-wetting the paints ahead of time. So it would have taken a moment for the paint to wake up and I would have been like, ooh, yeah, these are taking too long. I don't like them as well as some other paints, but knowing that they just need to be woken up, I'm fine with using them. So what I was talking about earlier is there are some pretty deep holes. They're still wet, unfortunately, so you may not be able to see all of the deep holes. But look at this one, for instance. It's almost down to the bottom of the pan. And that was just using them in this painting alone because I didn't actually use this color again in this painting. So just with that painting, I'm almost down to the pan. Granted, when I filled these, I filled them really full, and then of course they evaporated and sunk down quite a bit, so they're not full at all to the top. But what my point is that I think that I'm using more pigment trying to get how deep of a color I want than I might with some of my more professional grade watercolors, because you can see how deep these are now that the shine is kind of off to the side there. So I'll be refilling these clear to the top, see how far they dry down the second time. I'll let you know in an upcoming video how that went. And I'm going to keep them in my studio, keep painting with them, because I am going actually on a permanent no-buy and having some of these colors, especially some of these blues. These two blues are just beautiful. I think having them in my arsenal here as backup paint is fine. And we'll have to do some light fast testing. We'll get these in the window eventually here and see how they do, because that will be a big part of if I choose these paints for my main palette in the future, if I were to run out of all of my other high-end brands, which I know that's going to take a couple of decades, but you know, it's interesting thinking about scenarios like that at least. Well, when I first started recording this video, these showed that kit as $39.97 US dollars, and there was a 30% off coupon, which was awesome. But now they're showing around $39 and only 10% off, but still, to get the paper, the paints, the brushes, and you get a little ceramic palette for that. So you don't get this metal palette, but you do get one of their nice Meeden ceramic palettes. Those are so nice. Anyway, you get all of that for less than $40, and it is probably a good deal. I mean, the paper, the paint brushes, that's okay, and paint that is okay. It's okay. Activated at first, and you probably won't know a difference other than the fact that you're probably using way more out of the pan than you're used to. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Meeden, for sending me these products. This was fun experimentation. I would have bought this paper anyway to try out. I really loved the look of these brushes, but I wouldn't have bought them because I have so many brushes already, but I'm glad to have them. And backup paint, can't go wrong with that. All right, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye for now. Look how big her foof is. She's really riled up. Oh my God.